just finished 11-9 with work problems. Promise this will be not as painful as the other one, and it will be a short one. First thing I want you to make sure you understand is that when we're talking about work problems, we're talking about work rate, how fast you can perform a given task. I mean, how long does it take you to complete a given task? So, for instance, let's say I can read a book in 5 days, and then what I would do is I can read one book in 5 days. I'm just going to leave it like that. This is the task that I'm trying to do, and this is the number of, how long it took me to complete that given task. So this could apply to many other things. Let's say you can mow the lawn in how many hours or whatever. So let's take a look at this right here. I'm trying to get you to work on that, and can you just go ahead and copy that down? I'm just kind of read it out loud while you write it down. It says Ian and Nadia can each wash a car. Notice the word here is each. Wash a car and cleans its interior in about 2 hours. So that means each of them can clean and wash the car in 2 hours. Okay, so that means for Ian to wash one car, that will took Ian 2 hours. So one car, 2 hours. I'm just kind of listed out here. And then for Nadia, that particular person also can take 2 hours to wash that same car. Okay, so I'm just kind of represent the work rate there. And then Raul can wash that same car, but it actually takes him longer. It takes him 3 hours just to work on that same car. So you see the different work rate. Raul is a bit slower, but that's okay. So the job here is, the question is, what if they work together? When we say they work together, all they have to do is really to add them all up. So instead of as an equation, all you have to do is say, okay, so this is Ian's work rate, this is Nadia's work rate, this is Raul work rate, and they are working together, and it says if there are three working together, how long would it take to clean? Notice here is 7 cars. So remember, the top number represents the number of cars, right? Since we want to wash 7 cars, we just put 7 on top because they want to work 7 cars. And the question here is, how long would it take to clean 7 cars? Do we know how long? We don't. So therefore, we can define a variable. So let's say we use the letter T for time. Okay, so T is the time it took all 3 to wash 7 cars. Okay, it's very simple. Now you have yourself an equation, rational equation in this case, and let's find our LCD. It's rather simple. We know the LCD for 2, 2, and 3 is going to be 6, and since there's a T here, you have to include that into the picture, so it's just going to be 3T for all of them. Okay, there you have it. So if you solve it, what you end up with is to make this, I'm sorry, it's not 3T, it's 6T. The LCD is 6T, not 3T. Okay, so it's going to be, to make this 6T, you have times top and bottom by 3T, so that's what you have. Over here, same thing, 3T. This one, to make it, you have to times it by 2T. And here, since you already have the T, all you have to do is just multiply the top by 6, right? So it's going to be 7 times 6 of 42. And now notice that once we have everything filled in, we can just go ahead and cross out the bottom and just go ahead and try to combine like terms on the top. 3T plus 3T plus 2T, that's going to be 8T, equals to 42. Solve it. T is going to be 42 over 8. Let's reduce that here. We can divide this by 6, divide this, oh no, not by 6, I'm sorry, by 2. That's going to give you 4, and this is going to give you 21, right? And then we can just go and divide it. It's going to be 6, no, not even 5, sorry, 5, and what you end up with is 5 and 1/4. Okay, 5 and 1/4. Notice that what we use here for the unit, it's an hour, so it's going to be 5 and a quarter of an hour. If you really want to be precise about, we want to convert a quarter of an hour to minutes, you can. You can say 5 hours and 15 minutes because a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. So you can write 5 hours and 15 minutes, or it's okay if you write 5 hours and 1/4 of an hour, more, to complete 7 cars. Okay, so what I want you to do for this particular one is on your work problem worksheet, you can try to work on number 1 for that one. So try number 1. As soon as you have it, try number 1 on page 127. This is from the worksheet, not in your textbook. Okay. All right. So the next problems, which is very similar, that I want you to work on, is this one. Go and copy that down. This Lupe can paint a 60 square foot wall in 40 minutes. Working with her friend, Steve, the two of them can paint a wall in 25 minutes. How long would it take Steve, well, I have a typo there, to do the job by himself? Okay, so now let's kind of separate the two. We have Lupe here working on one wall. I'm not, it's okay, it's going to be the same wall anyway, so I can just say one wall, which is about 60 square feet, it doesn't matter, in 40 minutes. Okay, and then for Steve, he can work on that same wall, but we don't know how much time it's going to take him to work on it, so I'm just once again declare T for time for Steve. So as soon as I declare a variable for something, I better define it. So T is time Steve to paint that same wall. Okay, and then of course when we say working together, we add them up, so it's going to be 1 over 40 plus 1 over T. So notice here, the top number is just the task that you do. In this case, we have one wall to paint. It took Lupe 40 minutes. For Steve, it's the same wall, but we don't know how much time. However, when we put them together, working together, that same wall, notice just one wall. Let's say ask them to, so for that one same wall, two of them working together, the minutes come down to just 25. Okay, so I'm asking you to find Steve's time in this case, and it's very simple, just like before. Figure out your LCD. So the LCD for this one, 40, 25, you kind of calculate it's going to be 200, and there's a T here, so we have to include that in the picture. So 200T will be the LCD. Remember the universal key that I talked about before. This case here is going to be times top and bottom by 5T. This one right here times top and bottom by 200, so there we go. And this one times top and bottom by 8T, so it's going to be right there. So once I have everything filled in, I can just go ahead and remove the bottom and start solving the top. I have 5T plus 200 equals to 8T. I can go ahead and subtract 5T both sides, and that's going to get me 200 equals to 3T, so I can divide both sides by 3. T comes out to be approximately, anyway, 66.6. And since the unit's in minutes, you can just write it in minutes, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, whatever the unit you started with, that will be your ending unit. Okay, all right, and it's repeated as well if you want to keep on dividing, but that's the idea behind it. So take both of them more than an hour. I'm sorry, just Steve, since he's working slower. It would take Steve more than an hour to complete that same wall, but when you combine the work of both of them, it only takes them 25 minutes to complete the wall. So what I want you to do right now is go ahead and try number 5 on page 128 on the worksheet, okay, as soon as you have it. Okay, all right, that's it for my lesson. Any questions, we'll